to do with the human brain. Now, who do you call as a genius? The greatest known genius in the recorded history of humanity is Leonardo da Vinci. Now, this man was an artist, he was a painter, he was a photographer, he was an engineer, he was an architect, he was a zoologist, a botanist, a geologist, and much more. He invented the parachute, the helicopter, the submarine, and many other things. Now, this was the greatest genius in the recorded history of humanity. Now, how does genius happen? I want to tell you here that every child at the moment of birth has a potential genius much bigger than what Leonardo da Vinci ever became or ever used. Every child has a potential intelligence much bigger than what Leonardo da Vinci ever used. Then why doesn't every child become a genius? Because human beings, we adults, actually spend a lot of childhood of the child de-geniusizing the child. We don't allow that genius to flower forth. And this talk is all about understanding what that genius is and how to actualize it, to make every child a genius. This is our dream at True Education Private Limited. Our dream is that every child should become a genius. Now, what is a genius? Genius is equal to talent plus the skill to express that talent. These are the two components that together make a genius. Genius is equal to talent. Now, talent is God-given, inborn, innate, plus a skill to express that talent. Now, skill to express the talent is a function of brain development. So, one is an innate talent which God has put into every child. The second component is the development of the child's brain to give him the ability, the skill to express that talent whenever life gives him an opportunity. So let us look at these two components one by one. First component is the talent which God has given him. Now, how do you understand what is the talent each child has got? What is the talent which God has given every child? In the olden days, rishis used to simply look at the children and whatever details they wanted to look at in the children and understand the talent God has given this child. And accordingly, they used to create an educational program for the appropriate development of the child. Now, science has developed a method by which you can actually understand and figure out the exact talent that God has given to every child. This technology, which science has now come out with, is called as dermatoglyphics multiple intelligence test. DMIT for short. Now, dermato means skin. Glyphics means ridges on the skin. Now, in your fingerprints, you have ridges on the skin of the fingerprint. So, dermatoglyphics means ridges on the skin of the fingers, which is your fingerprints. Multiple intelligence test. Let me explain the whole theory behind this. The human brain has two hemispheres. There is a left hemisphere, there is a right hemisphere. From the front to the back, there are 5 clear lobes on either side of the human brain. Right behind the forehead, there is a prefrontal area, prefrontal lobes. Behind the prefrontal lobes is the postfrontal lobes. Right in the middle, in the center on top, is the parietal lobes. Behind the 2 ears are the temporal lobes. And right at the back of the head, in line with the 2 eyes, are the occipital lobes. So, there are 5 lobes on the left side, there are 5 lobes on the right side. Now, every lobe of the human brain controls a certain set of talents in children, in human beings. The 5 lobes on the left side of the brain, through millions of nerves, are connected to the 5 fingers of the right hand. The 5 lobes on the right side of the brain, through millions of nerves, are connected to the 5 fingers of the left hand. Left brain controls the right side of the body. Right brain controls the left side of the body. Left brain energies go to the right side. Right brain energies go to the left side. The energies cross here on the third eye center. And therefore, in Indian culture, we put a bindi or a tilak here to cool that center. So, the 5 lobes on the left brain are connected to the 5 fingers of the right hand. The 5 lobes on the right brain are connected to the 5 fingers of the left hand. Now God's design is, when He gives a special talent to a child, the lobe which controls that particular talent becomes a little more healthier as compared to the other lobes of the brain. And when God keeps a certain weakness in a particular child, the lobe which controls that particular talent remains a little weaker as compared to the other lobes of the brain. If there is a talent, the lobe becomes stronger. The finger connected to the lobe shows healthier fingerprints. If there is absence of a talent, a little weakness, the lobe controlling that talent remains a little weak. The finger connected to that lobe of the brain shows a little weaker fingerprint. So, you can scan the fingerprints of all the 10 fingers of both the hands of the child and analyze this data in the functional software of all the 10 lobes of the brain. And this analysis gives you a report called as the DMIT report. Now, this report can inform you about the special talent of a child. This report can tell you about the weakness of a child. This report can tell you about the right learning style which can be used to actualize this talent and to improve the weakness. There are 3 important learning styles through which children learn. If the occipital lobes are stronger, healthier, then children's eyes will be more intelligent. They will observe and learn faster. If the temporal lobes of the child are healthier, then his ears will be more intelligent. He will listen and learn faster. And if the temporal lobes of the child are stronger, healthier, then he will have more kinesthetic intelligence, and therefore he will be able to do an activity and learn faster. These are the 3 major styles of learning. There is a visual learning, there is an auditory learning, and there is a kinesthetic learning. So this report will not only tell you what are the special talents of the child, it will tell you what are the areas for improvement. It will also tell you what is the right learning style using which you can actualize this talent and improve this weak area. This report, in addition, will also tell you the potential growth possible by default in a child in the first 6-7 years of his life, which is when most of the brain development is over. In addition, this report will also tell you special personality characteristics of the child, knowing which the parents can evolve the right method of parenting to help this child flower forth as a genius. Now, this is all the information that you can get through this report called as DMIT. And this is a very simple report. You don't have to do much. All you need is to scan the 10 fingers for fingerprints of the child and analyze this data through a software. In a couple of days, you get the report out, which tells you what is the functional talent controlled by every lobe of the brain and what is the strength of this child in this particular lobe of the brain. Let me just explain to you one typical report, a DMIT report, for understanding this report more clearly. Look at this report. There are 4 boxes on the left side of the report and there are 6 boxes on the right side of the report. These 4 boxes, the lower 2 boxes represent the prefrontal area, the left prefrontal and the right prefrontal. Upper 2 boxes represent the postfrontal area, the left postfrontal and the right postfrontal. The 6 boxes on the right side, they are the 3 learning styles. The top 2 represents the kinesthetic learning styles, the parietal areas of the brain. The 2 right at the bottom represent the temporal areas, the auditory learning styles of the child. The 2 in the middle are the occipital area of the brain, which represent the visual learning strength of the child. So let us understand each one of these lobes and understand how they reflect the various talents the child has and how they can be used to actualize his genius. Now, the prefrontal left part of the brain, this controls communication, management, planning, and judgment. Now, communication is the ability of a child to find the right word at the right time. He has an idea which he wants to communicate. He has a thought. Now, he has to dress up this thought in the appropriate words. The ability to find the right word at the right time to express a thought in the most appropriate way is the ability of communication. Then management, planning, judgment, the ability to judge people, the ability to judge situations. All these are talents controlled by the left prefrontal brain. The right prefrontal brain controls creativity, controls visionary qualities, leadership, controls goal-driven purpose in a child. Now, what is creativity? Creativity is the ability to generate new ideas. Faced with a life situation, faced with a problem, an ordinary person may be able to find 2 or 3 solutions. A creative person will be able to find 6 or 7 or 8 solutions for the same problem, because he has the creativity to generate new ideas, to think up of new possibilities. Leadership, we all know, the ability to motivate, inspire, lead a group of people. Visionary qualities, the ability to think ahead of time, 2 years, 3 years down the line, and in the light of that vision, take present decisions. Goal setting and the drivenness of purpose to achieve those goals. All these are qualities handled by the right side of the prefrontal area of the brain. The 2 boxes on the top, they are the postfrontal lobes. The left postfrontal lobe controls the logical ability and the linguistic ability in the child. Now, logical abilities will define his mathematics scores, because mathematics is logical. Logical ability will also determine the child's science scores, because sciences are all logic. The linguistic ability of the child, which is another talent controlled by the left postfrontal, this will define his felicity with languages, with sentence formation, with vocabulary, with grammar, his ability to master a language. Now, if you closely look, this lobe, the postfrontal left lobe, is all that our educational system focuses on. Just 10% of the human brain. Because what does the education system focus on? What does the report tell you? The report tells you about the child's scores in mathematics, in sciences, in English, Hindi, regional language. Now, this is all controlled by the left postfrontal. Then what remains? Only history and geography. Now, this one lobe, if this is weaker in the child, now we will understand this child as a weak child, which is not the case, because his talent may lie somewhere else in the brain. But unfortunately, the education system focuses only on this one lobe of the brain. The right postfrontal deals, this area of the brain controls spatial intelligence. Now, space, the creative use of space, the creative ability to understand space and use space intelligently is spatial intelligence. This lobe also controls imagination. This lobe also controls conceptual thinking in the child. So these faculties are controlled by the right postfrontal area of the brain. So these are the 4 boxes that you see on the report on the left side. The right side has 6 boxes. The top 2 deal with the left kinesthetic and the right kinesthetic, the left parietal and the right parietal. The 2 below that is the left occipital and the right occipital. And the 2 at the bottom is the left temporal and the right temporal. Now, these are the 3 major learning styles. Now, when you talk of learning styles, left brain is always the input and right brain is always the output. So, the left side of these 6 boxes, through the left side, the child learns, and through the right brain, the child performs. That's the output. So, let's look at the 2 top ones, the kinesthetic area. The left kinesthetic, the left parietal lobe controls the FMS, and the right parietal lobe controls the GMS. Now, these are technical terms. FMS means fine motor skills. GMS means gross motor skills. Now, what are fine motor skills? Fine motor skills are things that children do with fingers. Things like writing, calligraphy, things like playing musical instruments, drawing, sketching, coloring, painting, things like mehendi, rangoli, things like embroidery, needlework, using instruments. All these things which children do with their fingers, this is what is fine motor skills. The left parietal lobe controls the fine motor skills. The right parietal lobe controls the gross motor skills. Now, gross motor skills are skills, things which children do with using the whole body. For example, dance, sports, martial arts, gymnastics, swimming. All these are activities which you use the whole body to perform. Now, these are gross motor skills. and this is controlled by the right parietal lobe of the brain. The two below that are occipital lobes in the center. Now, left occipital lobe is the skill of observation. Now, such children who are stronger in this area will observe something and register it almost photographically in their mind. They'll remember it for a long time. They'll see a face and recognize the person even 5 years later. You take them on a new road in a new city, and 5 years, 4 years down the line, they go on the same road in the same city, and they'll easily be able to find their way out. They'll remember whatever they see. They'll be able to tell you the differences between various cars, the various types of dogs, the various types of triangles. They see things and observe and register much, much more than what an average person can. Their ability to observe is very, very high. The right occipital lobe controls the faculty of visualization. Now, visualization is the skill through which a child sees something and sees something beyond the obvious. For example, you and I will look at a rock and see the stone, see the rock. But a sculptor will look at the rock and see the statue. Now, statue is there in the rock, but we don't see. A sculptor looks at the rock and sees the statue. He knows what is that unessential which needs to be chiseled off for the statue to emerge out of this rock. For example, a fashion designer, he sees a fabric and visualizes the end product, the skirt that will come out of this fabric, the shirt that will come out of this fabric, the various fitments that will go into it, the cut and the style that will be created through this fabric. You see an advertisement professional. There are visualizers in the field of advertising. You show them a product, that this is the product I want to advertise.